Moving now to the United States, Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris and Republican candidate Mike Pence faced off overnight during a much-anticipated debate. Sure, it wasn't as volatile as the presidential debate last week, but it did give a clearer picture of the potential Israel policies each administration would carry. Here's what Pence had to say about Trump's track record.
Well, President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel. When Joe Biden was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We've stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding.
Now, to discuss further, Gideon Israel joins me now in studio. He's the author of the new book, Broken Values: How the Democratic Party Platform Betrays Its Followers and America. Gideon, thank you so much for being with us.
Good to be with you.
So first of all, I have to ask you, because of the time difference between here and the U.S., here the debate started at 4 a.m., I believe.
It did.
Did you wake up in the middle of the night for it?
I did. I set my alarm for 3:45, and the debate, and I was up at 4 to watch it, yeah.
Wow. So you didn't get much sleep last night, I guess?
Well, I also have kids, so I'm used to it.
Fair enough. Okay, so from that short clip we just saw from what Mike Pence was saying, how does that sort of represent what we can see those Israel policies potentially looking like in the future for a Trump administration as opposed to a Biden administration?
So later in the clip, we saw an even a contrast between the two policies. The Trump administration has stood behind its allies in the Middle East. It stood behind Israel 100%, meaning moving the embassy to Jerusalem, recognizing the capital, recognizing sovereignty over the Golan. And basically the policy is, for the Trump administration, is to paraphrase them, we are going to do what we think is in America's best interest, and we don't care what other countries say. And then on the other hand, you had Kamala Harris saying we're going to re-enter the Iran agreement, because now that America's not in the Iran agreement, America is less safe. Her policy is more of a policy of appeasement, and that was the policy of the Obama administration, which was kind of appeasing many, many countries, a foreign policy sort of as seeing the West as fault for many of the problems around the world.
Now, one of Trump's, many goals when he became president was the deal of the century, peace between, the Israelis and the Palestinians. Since he's began that project, he's cut off all communication with Palestinians, or rather, they've cut off communication with him.
Right.
Do you think if we saw Biden taking over the White House, that sort of communication could be reestablished, and maybe there could be more discussions actually progressing us towards some sort of a real peace deal?
So we have to split your question into two.
Sure.
Absolutely, they would reconnect with the Palestinian Authority, and not only that, they would make the Palestinian issue the central issue in the Middle East, as Obama did. However, would that lead us any further in peace talks? Absolutely not. We've seen that the Trump administration and President Trump promised the deal of the century. They haven't reached that yet, but they've already reached peace agreements between Israel and a few other countries in the Middle East.
So you think that even though they have no communication with the Palestinians, it's still more of a step toward peace than if they had that communication, example, with the Democrats or something along those lines?
Well, as long as the Palestinians perceive that they're the central players in the Middle East and they're going to dictate what's going to happen, so they're going to try to squeeze more and more out of Israel and out of America, as we've seen over the past 25 years. The Trump administration has taken the opposite approach and said, you're not a central player. In fact, you're not even so important. We'd love for there to be peace, but we're going to move forward with Israel and other countries in the Middle East to move forward, where peace is possible.
So those elections are coming up really soon on November 3rd. I'm curious how each candidate, how is their standing within, the American Jewish community?
So for Jews who are on the left, so certainly they see Kamala Harris as a good candidate, and she's pro-Israel. For more Orthodox Jews, or more maybe let's call it traditional Jews, and for Jews who Israel is higher on the list, they see the Trump administration as very good for Israel. I will say that I heard on a podcast from the Trafalgar Group that Jews in Florida are actually supporting Trump way more in the 2020 elections than they did in the 2016 elections. And the Jews in Florida make up about 400,000 votes, which is a critical 1% swing vote. That's actually one of the only states where the Jewish vote matters in the presidential election.
Interesting. It's going to be a really fascinating election, and I will definitely wake up in the middle of the night to watch those results. So Gideon Israel, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.